You wade in at the shallow edge of a Florida spring, where the water is so clear it looks like it isn't there at all. The bottom is white sand and swaying eelgrass, lit up like a cathedral floor. The water holds at 72 degrees the whole year, the same temperature it was when it fell as rain and sank into the limestone decades ago, and it comes back up cleaner than anything that runs from your tap. You can see your own feet. You can see a leaf turning on the bottom 15 feet down. There is nothing here that you cannot see. And that is the trick of it, because clear water shows you everything except the things that have learned to hold perfectly still. This is a video about 13 living things that come up in the exact water where people swim in Florida. Not out at sea, not deep in some swamp no one visits. In the canal behind the house, in the spring you loved as a child. In the surf where the families are, and we are going to count them down in a particular order. Not by how much harm they can do, but by how completely they stay out of the picture until you reach the one at number 1 that has been photographed in freshwater lakes and canals 100 miles from the ocean, in water where, by every rule you were ever taught, it simply cannot be. Before we start counting down, if this is the kind of water that lives quietly in the back of your mind, the kind that makes you look twice at country you thought you knew, take a second to subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel. And I want to know one thing while you are here. Where in the world are you watching from right now? Drop it in the comments. So let us get into the water. We start with the ones you can at least see coming. Number 13, the southern stingray. You shuffle into the warm shallows off the Gulf side, ankle deep, then knee deep, the sand soft and pale under your feet, and it is already there. A flat tan disc the size of a dinner plate, settled into the bottom with a wing bead of sand pulled up over its back, only its 2 eyes showing above the grain. It does not want you. Its entire strategy is to be indistinguishable from the seafloor, to let you pass over it and never know. But at the base of its whip of a tail is a bony barb sheathed in venom-producing tissue. And if your heel comes down flat on its back, the tail snaps up in pure reflex and drives the barb through the top of your foot. The pain arrives at once and keeps climbing for the better part of an hour, and it can linger for a day after that. Deaths are almost unheard of. Only a handful ever recorded anywhere in the world, and only from a barb reaching something vital in the chest or the belly. Mostly it is just a wound and a lesson. There is a reason nearly everyone raised on these coasts moves through the water the same way, sliding their feet along the bottom instead of stepping, pushing a small ridge of sand ahead of them, sending the warning down before their weight arrives. They call it the stingray shuffle. A whole coastline of people who have quietly agreed, without ever quite saying it out loud, never to fully trust the ground under them. Number 13 is the animal you avoid by never quite putting your weight down. Number 12, the Portuguese man-o'-war. It washes up looking almost like a toy. A translucent blue balloon crested with iridescent purple, small enough to sit in the palm of your hand, so strange and lovely that a child walking the tide line will go straight for it. Do not let them touch it. What looks like one-stranded jellyfish is not a jellyfish, and it is not even one animal. Its name is Physalia physalis, and it is a siphonophore, a floating colony of separate organisms fused into a single body, each one grown for a single task, none of them able to survive alone. One is the sail. Others digest, others do nothing but sting. Trailing beneath the pretty float, drifting somewhere out in the water it blew in from, are tentacles that reach 30 feet down and sometimes far longer, every inch of them strung with cells that fire on contact and can send a whole fishing crew into a frantic dance when the tentacles come up over the rail. And those cells do not know the animal is dead. A man-o'-war stranded and drying on the sand can still lay a burning welt across your hand a full day after it stopped being alive. Number 12 is not one creature. It is a committee, and it goes on stinging long after it is gone. Number 11, sea lice. You come out of the surf feeling completely fine. You towel off, you drive home, you step into a warm shower, and that is when it starts. A rash of small, furious red bumps rising across your skin in one very particular pattern, only in the places your swimsuit covered, sparing everything that was bare. The name is a lie. These are not lice, and they are not worms. They are the nearly microscopic larvae of the thimble jellyfish, and they drifted through the surf in numbers you could never see and slipped in under the edges of your suit while you swam. held there against your skin by the fabric, by a waistband, by the strap of a rash guard. They discharge their stinging cells all at once when pressure or the fresh water of your shower sets them off. That is why the shower is when you finally feel it. It peaks in May and June, worst along the South Florida coast, and the itching can run for a week or more. You felt nothing at all in the water. That is the whole point of it. Number 11 is the sting you carry home inside your own swimsuit. Number 10, the lionfish. Out on the jetty rocks, on the ledges of a sunken wreck, you find a fish so ornate it looks less like an animal than like something hung there on purpose. Bands of red and cream, long feathered fins fanned out around it like the spokes of a headdress, hanging almost still in the current with a slow, unbothered confidence. It looks like it belongs behind aquarium glass, and that is exactly where it came from. The lionfish is native to the far side of the world, to the reefs of the Indo-Pacific, and not one of them belongs in the Atlantic. They were let loose into Florida water in the 1980s, first sighted off the coast near Dania Beach in 1985, almost certainly poured out of home fish tanks by people who no longer wanted them. There was nothing here that knew to eat them. There still is not. So they multiplied, a single female spawning tens of thousands of eggs in a matter of days, and they spread down through the Keys and across the Caribbean and into the Gulf, stripping the reefs of small native fish faster than the reef can replace them. Fanned out inside that display are 18 venomous spines, and the venom in them stays active and painful even after the fish is long dead. Number 10 is beautiful and armed, and someone's pet gone feral in the sea. Number 9, the alligator gar. In a slow tannic river or a still inland canal, a shape drifts under your kayak that is nearly as long as you are tall, ridged with heavy scales that overlap like chain mail. A broad, flat snout lined with 2 rows of teeth. It looks like something that came up out of the age of the dinosaurs, and in a real sense it did. The alligator gar is a living fossil. Its kind almost unchanged for 100 million years, and it grows to close to 10 feet and several hundred pounds. The largest one on record weighed more than 300 pounds and was likely older than the person who caught it. It can even gulp air at the surface when the water goes warm and low. Everything about the animal says apex predator, and here's what almost no one expects. In all of recorded history, there is not a single confirmed fatal attack by an alligator gar on a human being. Its teeth are shaped to grip and hold a fish, not to shear off a bite, and it will not attempt to eat anything it cannot swallow whole. It hangs in the tea-colored water doing almost nothing at all, hunted and feared out of nothing but the shape of its face. Number 9 looks like a nightmare and behaves like a sunken log. The monster here is a rumor. Number 8, the great barracuda. You are snorkeling near an inlet when you get the distinct feeling of being watched, and you turn, and it is there, hanging motionless a few feet off your shoulder. A long silver bar of a fish with an underslung jaw and a mouth that does not fully close over its teeth, and it is looking at you. It follows. That is simply what they do. The great barracuda grows past 5 feet and 100 pounds. It hunts almost entirely by sight, and it can throw itself forward in a burst close to 35 miles an hour. The problem is the flash. A barracuda is tuned to the silver glint of a small fish turning in the light, and a wristwatch, a ring, or the polished blade of a dive knife throws exactly that glint. When a strike does come, it is usually one fast slash, and then the fish backing off in confusion, having realized its mistake. But the teeth are not a mistake. A freediver off Pompano Beach in 1960 was bitten and needed 31 stitches to close the wound. Number 8 is not hunting you. It is hunting the shine on your wrist. Now stop for a moment, because everything up to here has been what people already picture when they imagine danger at the water. The sting hiding in the shallows. The teeth cruising the reef. From here up, the water starts keeping its secrets somewhere else. Further inland, closer to the places you actually live. And the strange thing is that the higher we climb this list, the less any of them look like a threat at all. Some barely move. Some barely announce that they are there. And the one near the very top does not even have a body you could point a finger at. The animals that put the most Floridians in a hospital bed are almost never the ones printed on the shark posters in the beach shop. If you are still with me at number 7, then you are the kind of person who actually wants to know what shares this water with us, and not the kind who would rather never think about it. So if you have not yet, this is the moment to subscribe, because everything above this point is the part people flatly refuse to believe is real. Number 7. The cottonmouth. On a warm log at the edge of a retention pond, a dark, heavy coil lies soaking up the sun. You have heard the stories your whole life, that it will chase a swimmer clear across the water, that it drops out of branches into passing boats. That step into the wrong slough and a writhing knot of them will come at you all at once. Almost none of it holds up. The cottonmouth, the water moccasin, is the only semi-aquatic venomous snake in all of North America. A pit viper with heat-sensing pits between its eyes and a venom that goes to work on tissue and blood. It is worth real respect, but it does not chase. What people remember as a charge is a frightened snake bolting for the safety of the water, which happens to lie in their direction. When it feels cornered, it holds its ground and gapes that startling cotton-white mouth open as a warning, a plain request to be left alone. Nearly every bite on record comes from a snake that was stepped on, picked up, or cornered, and by one count, roughly a quarter of its defensive bites are dry. No venom spent at all. In the 20 years leading up to 2003, cottonmouths killed no one in the United States. And in that same stretch, 8 separate species of harmless water snakes that only resemble it were killed by the thousands, out of a fear the animal never earned. Number 7 is punished for a crime it does not commit. The myth bites harder than the snake ever has. Number 6. The sharks of New Smyrna Beach. It looks like the gentlest stretch of coast in the entire state. Families standing in the shore break, a neat line of surfers waiting out by the inlet, sand so firm and pale you can drive a car straight down onto it. This is New Smyrna Beach in Volusia County, and it is the shark bite capital of the world. Not one of several, the one. Volusia County has logged more than 300 shark bites since 1882, more than anywhere else on the planet, and it holds the world record for it. Most of them come from blacktips and spinners, sharks chasing dense schools of bait fish through the churned brown water where the tide pours out of Ponce Inlet. Florida waters hold more than 50 species of shark, and around 20 of them cross paths with swimmers regularly. In water that murky, a pale hand or a kicking foot reads closely enough like a fish, and the shark closes on it, and the instant it tastes that it was wrong, it lets go. In 2021 alone, the county recorded 17 of these bites, and here's the number that ought to reframe the entire thing. Across all those hundreds of bites, across nearly a century and a half, New Smyrna has never once recorded a death. Nearly all the wounds are to a hand or a leg, quick and shallow. The researchers who study the inlet will tell you plainly that anyone who has ever swum there has, at some point, been within a few feet of a shark, and simply never knew it was beside them. Number 6 bites more people than any beach on Earth, and has never killed a single one. The fear is far larger than the animal. The animals from here up are the ones people refuse to believe are here at all. Not exotic. Not on the far side of the world. In the canal that runs behind the house. In the spring you swam in every summer as a kid. In the water you would wade into today without a moment's thought. Number 5. The American crocodile. A canal in South Florida at first light, the surface flat and black against a wall of mangrove. A long shape lies half sunk at the edge, and your mind files it instantly as an alligator. Because an alligator is the only thing your whole life has told you can live here. Look again. At the narrow, tapering snout instead of the broad, rounded one. At the 4th tooth on the lower jaw, standing out plainly even with the mouth shut. That is not an alligator. That is a crocodile. The United States has wild breeding crocodiles, and they live in exactly one place on the map, the southern tip of Florida, in the brackish canals and mangrove coves of Biscayne Bay, Florida Bay, the Keys, and the cooling channels of a power plant south of Miami. In 1975, they were nearly gone, down to a few hundred animals clinging to a corner of the coast. They have since climbed back past 2,000 adults, quietly moving into water that people boat, fish, and paddle every single day. They are shy, far shyer than their notorious cousins overseas, more likely to slip under the surface than to hold their ground. But a crocodile all the same, an American crocodile in American water. Number 5 is the animal your own country tells you it does not have. Number 4, the large alligator. Now forget the wild places entirely. Think about the water no one ever gives a second thought. The retention pond behind the shopping plaza, the water hazard on the 4th hole, the pretty little lake ringed with houses and docks and children's swing sets. There are about 1.3 million alligators in Florida, spread across all 67 counties, living in very nearly every body of fresh and brackish water in the state, across almost 7 million acres of suitable habitat. Most of the time, they want absolutely nothing to do with you. Between 1948 and 2022, the state recorded 453 unprovoked bites, and of those, 26 were fatal. Florida averages around 8 serious bites a year now, and the odds of any single resident being badly hurt sit near 1 in 3 million. But the number was never really the point. The point is how completely they are already among us. They turn up in swimming pools, in garages after a storm, crossing golf greens at dawn. In 2016, one surfaced in a groomed lagoon at a Disney resort in water that had been shaped and lit to look like a postcard. They are not out at the ragged edge of the map. They are in the water we mow the lawn around and string with landscape lighting. Number 4 is not hiding in the wilderness. It is in the water we built to look safe. Number 3, Vibrio vulnificus. You wade into the warm, still water where a river empties into the sea with a small cut on your foot you had honestly forgotten was there. And the thing that finds you here has no eyes, no shape, nothing at all that you could ever see coming. It is a bacterium, one that lives naturally in warm, brackish water all along the Gulf and the southern coast, and it asks for only one thing: an opening, a cut, a scrape, a new tattoo, a blister rubbed raw by a sandal. Once it is inside, it can begin to kill the tissue around the wound from within, and about 1 in 5 people who develop the bloodstream infection do not survive it, sometimes within a day or two of the first symptom. Florida has the highest rate of it in the country, and in 2024, after a season of hurricanes shoved warm, brackish floodwater far inland across the state, Florida recorded 82 cases and 19 deaths, the worst year anyone has on record. The old-timers know to respect brackish water in a way the newcomers rarely do. Number 3 does not bite. It only needs a way in that you did not know you had left open. Number 2, Neglaria fowleri. It is the warm, shallow, still edge of a lake or a spring at the tail end of summer, the most inviting water there is, bathtub warm and lit up gold. You put your head under the way you always have. Water goes up your nose the way it always does, and you think nothing of it, because there has never been anything there to think about. What lives in that warm, fresh water is a single-celled organism so common and so ordinary that it is nearly everywhere warm water sits still. You could swallow a whole mouthful of it and be perfectly fine. It has exactly one way to reach you, and it is a strange and narrow one. Up through the nose, along the thread of the olfactory nerve, through the thin plate of bone behind it, and into the front of the brain. The illness it causes is almost never survived. Roughly 97 out of every 100 people who contract it die, most of them within a week or two. It is also, mercifully, vanishingly rare. In 60 years, the entire United States has recorded only around 164 cases, with a mere handful of people surviving in all that time. But it thrives in precisely the warm, calm, beautiful water that people love the most, and it grows more active the hotter and stiller that water becomes. Number 2 is the one you do not walk away from, and the way in is your own face. And that brings us all the way back to the beginning. Back to the clear water, and the swimmer, and the shape. Number 1, the bull shark in freshwater. You are in a lake or a wide, slow canal running behind a row of ordinary houses, and there is no ocean for miles in any direction. The water is warm and a little green, and you cannot see far down into it. You are treading water in the deep part, your legs hanging into the cooler dark below you, thinking about nothing much at all. And a shape lifts up out of that green, unhurried, broad and heavy, and passes just beneath the soles of your feet. Every instinct you have refuses it, because sharks live in the sea, and the sea is not here. But the bull shark is the one shark on Earth that can retune its own body to move freely between saltwater and fresh, and go where no other shark can follow. Females give birth to live pups already 2 feet long, and they leave them up in low, brackish rivers to grow, because the big ocean predators cannot come that far inland to hunt them. They travel more than 100 miles up the St. Johns River, a river that runs the wrong way, northward, up the length of the state. Their pups nurse in the Indian River Lagoon near Cape Canaveral. Graduate students netted a young one near a bridge in Jacksonville. They turn up in the Caloosahatchee and the Loxahatchee, in harbors and drainage canals far from any coast. And if some part of you still wants to call all of that impossible, here's the fact that ends the argument. In September of 1937, 2 commercial fishermen working the river at Alton, Illinois, hauled a bull shark up out of the Mississippi. 5 feet long, 84 pounds, 1,740 miles from the nearest saltwater in the Gulf of Mexico. Another turned up in the same river in 1995. The Mississippi runs more than 2,000 miles and drains nearly half of this country. And somewhere in it, at least now and then, there is a shark. Number 1 is the shark that refuses to stay in the ocean. The dark shape rising under you in water that has no earthly right to hold it. So here's what this whole list was really about, and it was never fear. Look back down all 13, and the pattern underneath them is the same. The animal buried in the sand that you have to shuffle past without ever quite trusting your feet. The pretty blue float that stings long after it dies. The snake blamed all its life for a nature it does not have. The shark hanging in a freshwater lake. The living thing with no body at all, waiting in the warmest, clearest water for a single way in. Almost none of them are hunting you. Almost none of them want anything to do with you at all. The unsettling part is quieter and simpler than that. It is that the water which looks the very safest, the clear spring, the tidy canal, the warm and welcoming shallow, is very often the water that has learned to hold the most, and to hold it perfectly still. Not because Florida is cruel, because everything that survives here has become patient and good at stillness, and the beauty of the place and the danger inside it turn out in the end to be the exact same water. You could see your own feet on the bottom. You could see a single leaf turning over 15 feet down. There was nothing here that you could not see. And the next time that clear warm water closes soft and bright around your legs, you will understand that it is not empty. It was never empty. It is only holding still, a few feet away from you, patient as it has always been, waiting for you to forget that it is there. If you like this video, YouTube also thinks you're going to like this one on your screen.